Hi, he's David.
And he's Doug.
He's a Stegosaurus.
And he's a caveman.
And together we are...
Two.
Deep.
You got the knuckle.
Suck it up.
We're all good.
So we just went to see The Good Dinosaur, Pixar's second feature this year after a previous year of being a no-show. And I suppose the obvious comparison here is it as good as Inside Out? Well, we'll find out, shan't we? So, I think is that got anything to add to that, Liam? In the introduction? Yeah, it's a film about a dinosaur who kind of gets separated from his parents and has to find his way home. So I think with that, let's go on to the positives. And Liam?
Okay, first thing I'll point out is that this film is really visually appealing. Like, it is stunning how much detail I've put into the environments in this film.
I'll have to back that up. There was a bit towards the start where I leaned into you and said they've come a long way since A Bug's Life. Except towards the start, there's just like a shot of like dirt and like leaves and things. They've come a long way since A Bug's Life, trust me.
One thing I'll point out mainly, their water animation was on point.
Oh
like
god, yeah.
Rivers and stuff, it was so realistic.
There was one shot there that was a little bit janky, a little bit, yeah. It looked like simulated water, but for the most part, the water was amazing, yeah. I don't know, I just noticed that there's just like one shot in the whole film where it just looked like simulated water, but...
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, got anything else? No, you on there?
Contrasting colours and stuff was pretty interesting. Kind of realistic in environments and stuff, but then they went all artsy on it and fireflies and stuff.
Fireflies. You would not... Actually, no.
Don't do it.
Copyright.
You got any positives?
Yeah, I'd like to say, for the most part, the acting in this film was pretty on point, and the story in general was pretty good. You know, I would also like to add to your point that the animation was absolutely stunning. In fact, there was certain bits where you could tell it was almost, there was a little bits put in there to show off some stuff, and with some like, you know, new rendering software. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Or like fantastically animated.
You did really well.
Yeah. There's also some like really great visual stuff in this, like as a visual like sets, if you will, like the areas it all takes place in. There's really great environments, like a huge open prairie type place in that pops up, and that's pretty great.
Savannah and deserty kind of places too.
There wasn't a desert in it.
But it was kind of Macery Canyon-y kind of, the orangey kind of feel.
I'll give you that. There was a bit in there. Anything else? And so yeah, the story was pretty good. Wasn't the most complicated, but it was pretty good. I particularly liked the interaction between Arlo and Spot, Arlo being the
dinosaur.
Yeah, Arlo being the big green dinosaur and Spot being this adorable 4-odd-year-old kid. Kid who's just completely feral and doesn't talk through the whole movie. Got anything to add to that?
No, I don't know.
Alright. That's about the fastest positives we've ever done. So
yeah.
So that brings me onto the negatives.
Negatives.
Okay, I'm gonna be a bit negative here and say it's not Inside Out. It's not that.
You can't do that. That's like a horrible direct comparison to another film. We are judging this film for its own negatives.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like saying that as like an introduction to my negatives. It's not Inside Out levels of perfect.
But it does have dinosaurs in it.
It is a good film, don't get me wrong, but there's has a couple of weak points.
Definitely.
Yeah, like was it, there's several points where there's like hard impacts, like Arlo like smacks into things and like things fall. Just didn't feel like it had enough weight to the sound to me.
But
Like, in like say Mission Impossible earlier this year, when there was gunshots and things crashing into it, there was like real weight behind it.
yeah.
It didn't feel like that. It felt kind of weak to me. Oh, that's a very technical, like a little tiny technical nitpick there. I think my biggest problem is it kind of suffers from the same problem that I think Finding Nemo suffers from, in that you meet characters, they do their bit, and then they just disappear.
No one sticks around.
Yeah, it's just like Arlo goes from like interaction to interaction throughout the film.
And that becomes a whole plot kind of thing, just interaction
Yeah.
to interaction.
It's kind of like get from point A to point B, and certain characters pop up along the way pretty much solely to have something to do with Arlo.
To influence his journey.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, I guess you can expect that from a film, but when it's, I don't know, it feels like this, and then this, and then this.
Yeah, again, this is the same problem I have with Finding Nemo. It doesn't feel like there's one big
It doesn't
cohesive
flow.
thing. It just feels like a series of skits pulled together by one central character. And this has very much, in fact, there's a lot of comparisons I can make between this and Finding Nemo. So I guess if you like Finding Nemo, this is probably going to be a good film for you.
And Ice Age. I linked it to Ice Age more than I did Finding Nemo.
Yeah, I suppose visually there's a lot
No,
of
even the
Ice Age
story
in there.
I got.
Yeah.
Human boy.
Yeah,
Dinosaur.
there's also like a spoiler negative that I'll go into.
I got a spoiler negative.
Yeah.
It's the same one. We'll see.
We'll see if it's the same one. But yeah, my biggest negative though is like the story. Just I like what they did with Arlo's character, and Spot was just absolutely adorable. But the fact that these other characters just popped up and disappeared again was kind of.
No one really stuck around for that long either, and it even felt like there was unnecessary characters to meet.
Yeah, there's one character we meet relatively early on that is just.
I don't know. The film would have been okay without it.
Yeah, the film could have done perfectly fine without him. I got to the point and I don't think this film needs this.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's another point with the weak sound design. I said did you ever see Brave in the cinemas?
No.
Have you heard Brave on like a proper surround sound
Like I
system?
said, I watched it like once and I didn't get along with it, so.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I liked about Brave is the sound design of that was amazing. Like when you hear Angus running, like the hooves of fa-da-dum of the hooves is like really heavy and powerful, and like the sound mix on that is gorgeous.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is The Good Dinosaur doesn't carry that on.
Like I said, I don't think the Good Dinosaur had any memorable music either. I genuinely
Yeah,
don't remember.
I can't remember any of the music from that. Like Inside Out, I can go bum bum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum dum. I can just or say The Incredibles has got the bwah 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 wah 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 bit going on. This had
Yeah, I don't know.
something.
It was probably music.
There was some music somewhere, but I can't place it. I mean, hell, Pixar's got a habit of putting good music in, but this is just there's one a lot of good music in this. I suppose if there was music in there, it was serviceable, but I can't really come out of it saying, "Wow, that was a good score." So, do we want to go on to the verdict?
One sec, I have another negative.
Go on then.
As much as the film was beautiful and visually appealing, I feel like that's all they put their effort into. It feels very much like they gave that a lot of weight and a lot of standing that they've almost got the story and the sound not as powerful enough to match it. It feels almost disbalanced.
Yeah, I got that. But that isn't to say that the story is
No, the story was
necessarily
it was still
bad.
pretty cool. It was a good film.
Yeah, and it's like we are concentrating on the negatives here because I think that the negatives stood out for someone out in particular, but this was
It was enjoyable. There were some good scenes.
there were some great scenes, and in general,
Spoilers.
this wasn't. So we the reason we're not going into this is because a lot of it is in the spoilers. A lot of the best bits in this about this movie are in the spoilers, but I suppose can I go on to bring on a positive here?
Yeah, sure.
Just kind of
Let's just stick in another positive.
yeah, just stick one on in the end. Good God, the interaction between Arlo and Spot in this film is amazing.
It is pretty cool, actually. They
It,
can't
it's
speak, really, but...
it's beautiful. Like Spot is like mute and communicating a series of unintelligible grunts and howls and gnashes throughout the film, and it's just adorable. And then Arlo like looking after him, and the fact that like at several points in it, like Spot and Arlo kind of like work together, and they just make a perfect little team. That's really nice.
Yeah.
I really like that. And I say the whole film is basically held up by that,
Yeah, that relationship.
which I believe takes us on to the verdict. Liam, do you want to start us off?
I think it's definitely worth a watch. Like, you could see worse films, you could see better films, but this is a film you can watch and go, nah, it wasn't that bad actually. It was really good to watch. It was nice to watch, enjoyable. So I'm gonna give it a 1.
Again, I have to go with this and give it a 1. It's not the best animated feature that's come out this year, but it is a good animated film, and yeah, there are some great bits in it. I'd say if you're looking for a particularly wonderful experience, perhaps look elsewhere. This is possibly one of Pixar's weaker films, but that said, it's still a great film, and I would like to see more from this director. Like, I would like to see more from Peter Sohn. Like, give him another movie, and then see what happens.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, I would have to give it a 1, which I suppose takes us on to the...
Wait, which means go see it first.
Which means go see it. Which takes us on to... The spoilers! Spoilers!
Woo!
Spoilers!
Yeah.
Spoilers!
Spoilers.
Okay, let's...
You've been warned.
You've been warned. Don't you believe in God?
And you.
And
You're there.
Let's... Do you want to start off? You said there was a spoiler that we may both have said. Like, you kind of got me on...
Wait, I can't remember.
I've been wondering that.
One sec, you go. And I
You
might...
can't remember your spoiler.
Not right now, but if you mention it, I might be like, oh, that's the one. And if not, I'll be like, okay, which one was it?
Well, my spoiler, like, kind of a big spoiler, is like, there's a really touching scene, like, like, about a third of the way into the movie, where we've just come to meet Spot, and we know he's not a threat, that he's friendly, and that, you know, Arlo and Spot kind of have started to form a relationship. You know, say Spot is completely mute, and Arlo is trying to explain to him that he's got family, because he thinks Spot doesn't understand the concept of family because he's this lone child. And to do this, Arlo draws like a little circle with little sticks to represent his family. To which, and this was just a heartbreaking scene. It was just a little scene in there, just utterly heartbreaking. And like Spot just pulls a couple of sticks and puts them in the ground and just like circles it, and then he just knocks over 2 of the sticks with his like nose, and then covers them up with sand to represent the fact that they're dead. And it's like, oh, Oh, that's brutal.
And then obviously Arlo does the same thing to show that he's lost people too.
Yeah, because spoilers, his dad dies.
Yeah. I think it's probably one of the first times they connect properly. Like they understand each other a lot better.
Yeah, that was a great scene. You got any other spoilers?
There's one bit where they're eating these fruit.
Oh yeah, that's a brilliant moment.
And they pretty much start tripping.
It's
beautiful.
brilliant.
It was the best bit, I reckon.
Yeah,
I
would.
couldn't stop.
I would have to sum this movie up with 3 points, and that that little bit with in which Arlo and Spot start just tripping balls. It was amazing. This is the bit where they just start eat some rotten fruit and just go nuts.
They pretty much hallucinate like crazy. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Oh yes, that's it. Sam Elliott is in this movie. He plays like a grumpy, not grumpy, like a particularly seasoned old T-Rex dad guy, and like the moment you hear his big gruff voice, it's like,
there you are.
Yes. This is complete. I like this. Which is a pity because I had to take a bathroom break halfway through when he started talking. Excuse me. I had to take a bathroom break halfway through his part of the movie, which was like, oh, I missed some of the best stuff. Still.
Arlo survives a lot. Like, he gets so beaten and he's just really quite resilient somehow, but it's interesting.
Yeah, we see Arlo go through a lot in that movie.
He gets trapped a few times, he gets hit on the head a lot, he gets cuts and bruises.
He gets a limp twice.
Yeah.
He gets beaten up a lot.
And he's got strangled as well.
Yeah. And that's another thing, like, I suppose this is more of a general thing should have mentioned earlier, but this film is brutal.
It has an interesting thing with death as well. It shows it in a few different ways, actually.
There's a bit, like, later on where Arlo's suffered a particularly bad injury, and he sort of, like, has an out-of-body experience where he meets his dead dad and, like, realises his dad's like a ghost, and that was kind of like you could see it coming a mile off the moment you saw him get hit by the rock and fall unconscious. You could see that coming a mile off, but didn't make the fact that geez, he almost died, and they're willing to show that less potent. It was like, it was like, wow, this character's that's pretty dark. Well, not, I suppose dark is relative, but it's pretty drastic for this kind of movie. And like throughout, there's like things die in this movie.
Yeah, like one thing, it was all kind of spiritual and like, oh, there's my dad. While earlier on there was a little kind of animal getting pulled apart by pterodactyls, so it was kind of like, whoa.
Yeah. Like, the villains in this movie actually tear apart an innocent little cute little fluffy thing.
Raccoony, like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite sad.
And Arlo kind of helps them as well, because he doesn't know. He doesn't realise he thinks they're friendly, and they kind of like trick him into giving them
food.
Yeah, there's some pterodactyls in this, and they're just total dicks.
One of them gets that like wing rip though. It's pretty grim.
Yeah. Yeah, the pterodactyls are dicks. Dicks.
I have a negative spoiler.
Go on.
The end of the film when Arlo meets he doesn't meet them, they kind of like bump into some other humans. And obviously he gives Spot back, but they do the whole, if you've seen Ice Age, at the end they pretty much do the whole light music plays over like the silence of them two greeting and like passing over the child and everything. It was pretty much exactly the same, and it kind of hurt, and it felt unnecessary to have Spot meet random humans casually.
Oh boy, yes, you're right, that was my negative as well. Like, it felt a little weird having the humans just sort of come in out of... The humans were like the eagles in Lord of the Rings, they just came in to be convenient.
Yeah, they just happened to be there to just finish this plot hole when obviously Spot could have lived with Thingy.
Yeah.
Fine.
Like, Spot and Arlo were fantastic together.
And like I said, Spot was an orphan.
Yeah. And there was like the whole like Spot and Arlo looking after each other. There was a relationship there that was so good. I was thinking like, why would Spot want to be with these humans? I mean, obviously humans, but I don't know. Even in the end, when they're doing that thing, it's kind of weird because Spot goes back to Arlo. I mean, previously Arlo had promised Spot that he would be like, yes, you can stay with me. And it was like, oh, little Spot can work on their little farm and it'll be cute. But then there was like these other, it was like a bunch of other humans.
Why did the kids have grey hair? They were kids with grey hair.
I don't know. Maybe they just, I don't know, had maybe there was a lot of snow in their hair. Lots of snow. But, and it's like, and you could see Spot going back to Arlo. Spot clearly wanted to be with Arlo. And it was like, and just like all of a sudden he like draws the thing and is like, look, this is your family now. But there was no like connection between them.
It felt kind of weird that they kind of just let Spot go with a random family as well. Like,
yeah.
With like other films, it's like, oh, it's okay, he knows these guys, but it was just kind of like, right, we've got a connection and you're an orphan, but they look like you, so go with them.
Yeah, that's...
And it's like, that's all you have to go on, they look like him. What if they're going to eat him?
They could be cannibals.
Yeah.
He could be tasty. Tasty Spot.
You don't gain any trust for these humans, they literally just kind of appear and it's like, go with them, they look like you, and it's like, could he have done better off with Arlo?
Although that said, I will have to say, there is a reason Pixar didn't release a film in 2014. The Good Dinosaur was the film that was supposed to come out in 2014. It had a hell of a, really messy, launch thing. Apparently it had to be redone from the ground up, basically. Almost twice, I think.
Wow.
Some kind of hellish development, and I think that human thing might have been something left over from an earlier version of the film.
Yeah. That would make sense. Actually.
Yeah, knowing that this had a very troubled development.
Even the end felt kind of rushed. It's like, oh, hey, family, stump, there.
Something like that, yeah. It's not to say there weren't great bits in it.
Yeah,
but
the story was pretty great, but the ending...
There were certain bits in this that felt like it needed a lot more polish. And I suppose that takes us on to that one character that we said wasn't
oh yeah, it was like a Triceratopsy kind of thing.
Yeah.
A goofy one.
Didn't really do much. It was supposed to be stupid and...
You kind of... It felt like you probably see him again, but you just don't, and he just...
Yeah.
Kind of disappears pretty quick.
And he kind of doesn't really do much except give Spot a name.
Yeah.
And it's just they could have done that in a different way. Arlo could have just said Spot about something and then Spot just turns around and looks or something.
But one of his words was pretty cool.
Yeah, he did have a line that got a laugh out of me, but...
But yeah, that's
Triceratops kind of thing.
Yeah.
There were some cool bits about Arlo's family as well. Arlo's family were pretty nice, but again, they didn't have a lot of memorable dialogue to me.
His dad did.
Yeah, his dad was pretty great, but
I like that his dad wasn't perfect either. He did make a few mistakes, but I like that he kind of sorted them out.
Yeah. No, I felt the family were a bit weak. There was something I didn't quite latch on to. If you look at some of the best examples of a family group in animated films, there's usually something a very clear connection between them.
Yeah.
This felt...
I guess we didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
Or at least they didn't do anything that showed them being close, other than the brother annoying the little one.
Yeah, but that's sort of it's a bit cliche, it's a bit by the numbers.
Kind of bullyish brother.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great example of just the father-son relationship already in Finding Nemo. Marlin and looking after Nemo.
Don't forget the fireflies at night thing.
Oh,
the dad and the
I
son.
think you should take that. I've
Okay,
waffled
yeah.
enough.
Arlo and his father, when his father realizes he's not doing so well in some stuff, he takes him out at night time to do a little father-son bonding, and they pretty much get loads of fireflies, stick them out the grass and stuff, and it's a really nice scene to watch.
Mm. Yeah, it's a really lovely scene.
And his father's just like, "It's okay, son, we got this."
Mm. And there's another bit later on in the film where Arlo and Spot are just like running through a field and scaring a load of birds.
Yeah.
That's pretty gorgeous.
Birds fly around.
I think I would have to say on the final spoiler. Excuse me, it is late. Sorry, viewers, it's late. No, there's a final spoiler. I have to say on this, the villains in this were pretty scary.
They were pretty messed up. They always had like janky teeth and weird eyes and hair and stuff.
I think they could have been slightly better fleshed out. Like, but that's kind of nitpicking because they were sort of like instrumental, you know. They sort of like came and been like big scary pterodactyls, and they were like a genuine threat, and there was a pretty powerful showdown at the end.
No, I wasn't. I was hoping a showdown would happen on the mountain. You know.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like, oh no, he's gotta be up there. We're gonna go save him, and then it's like, oh no, he's down by the river. It's all good.
Yeah, I thought that. I thought he was going to go to the top of the
Yeah.
mountain. It looked like they were taking him to the top.
And that would have been great. That would have been pretty
I
cool.
would have totally wanted that, but what we got was pretty good.
But yeah, what we got was pretty cool.
Yeah, what we got was pretty good, but
Lots of heroics and Arlo getting over his fears.
yeah, it was pretty great.
It might as well have been called the Scared Dinosaur.
Yeah, it's more.
It's not so much he's a good dinosaur. It was he's scared of stuff.
Yeah, there was like one bad dinosaur in this.
And even then, it wasn't too bad. Oh, I know. Oh, we on about the pterodactyls.
The pterodactyls
Yeah.
were dicks.
They were pretty douchebaggish.
Yeah, they were douchebag pterodactyls.
Thunderclap. It's a bad name. Sounds like he's got the clap. The clouds gave him the clap. And he's proud of it. He embraces that. The storm provides.
Storm provides STDs.
Thunderclap. Got the thunderclap from the storm cloud.
Thunderclap, fam.
Storm gets around. We're really going off on a tangent here.
The storm gets around.
Gives everyone the thunderclap.
Oh boy.
His eyes were pretty gammy, to be fair. Like, they were kind of yellowish. So
Yeah.
he was having a hard time.
The villains in this were pretty good and like genuinely quite threatening. It was
Yeah.
kind of nice.
I like how the T-Rexes ran like as if they were on horses as well.
Yeah.
It was kind of cowboy.
I think that was all kind of thing. I think they were going like a western
And
vibe throughout the whole film.
I wouldn't say throughout the whole film. I'd only say for those three dinosaurs,
Yeah.
you know. I reckon it took various different kind of turns. That was the only part that felt westerny to me. Along with the hillbilly velociraptor thing. They reminded me of the hyenas from Lion King. Because they had the guy in the middle, some girl on the right, and then...
Oh yeah.
Except they swapped the guy and the girl role, I guess.
Yeah. I
And
don't
the
think they were
151.
velociraptors. They were something else.
I don't know, some velociraptors have feathers and stuff like that. I
I
mean, they didn't name them velociraptors though, they called them like feather claws or something.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Don't add that. I think there was something saying that most dinosaurs probably did have feathers back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not for us to get into.
We can neither confirm nor deny that dinosaurs had feathers.
But what we can say is that in spite of all the negatives and
Yeah, we'll
points
probably focus on the negatives a bit too much, but trust me, you should see this film.
yeah,
It's beautiful.
as I say, we've ripped into this film perhaps more than it
Than
was
we intended.
due.
Yeah.
Like
We've been negative Nancy's.
I can't. I really think it's because we've seen Inside Out.
You think?
Yeah. It's
We're comparing it too much.
Well, it's not comparing it. It's just like it's got a very high bar to live up to this year.
But yeah, if you're gonna go see it for anything, it is visually appealing. The story is
Yeah,
good.
the story-
You'll laugh and you'll feel sad at parts. You will
Yeah.
feel, still.
And I must say, the relationship between Spot and Arlo, if nothing else, is worth the price of admission. It's every scene that they're together is fantastic, to the point I would wish that they never came apart at the end.
Alan almost dies a lot.
Yeah, he does get beaten up a lot, but
Like, he almost falls off the cliff and stuff as well, and all that.
ugh, yeah.
And when, yeah.
So all in all, that was a good dinosaur.
Yeah.
Tell us if you want to leave a comment. Tell us what you think. That's
Leave
absolutely
a
fine.
like or whatever.
Do whatever it is you do.
Yeah.
Do your thing.
Thanks for watching all the way to, if you've made it this far, really, thank you.
Thank you. 2D out.